Growing up, I knew of the song Hotel California, and I've heard it plenty. And I was taught that it is evil, that it is satanic. There were various theories about what I believe it was the album cover or the artwork was about. And I never really liked this song. I considered it off limits, weird. The Eagles being an American rock band, Hotel California being released as their second single of their 1976 album. Is Hotel California really evil? Is it actually satanic? We'll talk about why people thought that. We'll talk about what I actually think now, listening after all these years, having learned a bit more, having read a bit more, having opened my mind a bit more. But the Eagles, a band that I know many of you love, I want to know what you guys love about them. What makes them special? And what are some of the songs that people might not be so aware of that are worth listening to? Subscribe. Here we go. I've never appreciated actually how beautiful this melody is, this hook. It's a legendary hook that I know many of us know, but the way that these melodies flow together is actually really beautiful.
Side grew dim. I had to stop for the night. There she stood in the doorway.
His voice is amazing. How have I never appreciated that? The heck? Don Henley, huh? He's on the drums. Don Henley performing the lead vocals. Don's voice are epic. There's a subtle rasp. There's a warmth. I love that timbre.
Rising up through the air, up ahead in the distance.
The hair is epic too.
Shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my side grew dim. I had to stop for the night. There she stood in the doorway.
So far, I don't hear anything evil, right? He's traveling, head is growing heavy, sight is growing dim. You're on the road, you're driving a lot, you get tired. Very relatable lyrics, right? Rising through the air, cool wind in my hair on a dark desert highway. Someone is just on the road, on a road trip.
To stop for the night. There she stood in the doorway, heard the mission bell, and I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven or this could be hell. Then she lit up a candle and she showed me the way. There were voices down the corridor. I thought I heard them say.
My mind is just thinking that this is some place, motel, hotel, and some female. And when you see a pretty female somewhere late at night standing somewhere, it could go either way. This could be heaven, this could be hell. It could be a trap, this might turn really bad, really fast, or this could be a wonderful, magical place. So far, I'm not hearing anything evil. We're going to have to do some research.
Thought I heard them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. There's plenty of room.
Those harmonies.
Hotel California. Any time of year, you can find it here. Her mind is different and twisted. She got the Mercedes Benz. She got a lot of pretty boys.
What can you find here? Maybe this is like a haunted place or these like ghosts singing. I mean, if I went somewhere and there's a bunch of people singing together, welcome to the hotel, I'm turning around and leaving, obviously. But what is this? You know, I'm picturing these movies where there's like, turns out it's a bunch of vampires or ghosts or it's haunted. Very weird when there's a bunch of people singing about a hotel together. But so far, I'm trying to figure out where and why this was looked at as evil. I remember hearing someone say something about in the album cover, in that little window was the image of some man who was like the founder of the author of the Satanist Bible or something had to do with Satanism. I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second. This is so groovy.
Her mind is different and twisted. She got the Mercedes Benz. She got a lot of pretty boys she calls friends. How they dance in the courtyard, sweet summer sweat. Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. So I called him the captain. Please bring me my wine. He said, we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. And still those voices are calling from far away. Wake you up in the middle of the night just to hear them say, woke up.
Listen, my mind is also thinking substance, drugs, all that jazz. Because we're talking about spirits, and to me that's a double entendre on spirits, actual ghosts, spirits, demons, but also spirits as in perhaps liquor. And if people are trying to remember or forget, I'm thinking of a group of people who are partaking in some type of substance for one or the other reason, either to remember things, to feel again, or to forget. That's often what people will turn to different substances and things for. And now we're talking about, he's calling the captain, wanting that wine, and he says we haven't had that spirit since 1969. What happened in 1969? Apollo 11 moon landing, Vietnam War reached its bloody peak, triumphant year for the New York sports world. Interesting.
In the middle of the night, just to hear them say, woke up to the Hotel California.
Ooh.
Such a lovely place. Such a
Ooh.
lovely place. Such a lovely place.
That note was beautiful.
Such a lovely place.
That was beautiful.
Such a lovely face. They're living it up at the Hotel California.
Ooh.
What a nice surprise. What a nice surprise. Bring your alibis. Mirrors on the ceiling.
That is a poignant lyric. I love that call and response here in these harmonies. My goodness, you guys. Guys, keep in mind, for copyright reasons, I don't want this video to be blocked or taken down. I have to comment. I do hope you came for the breakdown. I know this song, this is not the first time I've ever listened to this, but I've never actually listened start to finish, paying attention to the lyrics and trying to understand. I always have just shied away from fully listening or wanting to not cover it because I grew up thinking this was evil somehow.
What a nice surprise. Bring your alibis. Mirrors on the ceiling. The pink champagne on ice. And she said, we're all just prisoners here of our own device. And in the master's chambers, gathered for the feast. They stab it with their stealing knives, but they just can't kill the beast. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find a passage back to the place I was before. Relax, said the nightman, we are programmed to receive. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
was beautiful. Wow. 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 That was beautiful. Oh, those guitar harmonies and the whole composition. Such legendary riffs. You know, it's interesting to me being on this journey of seeing the eclectic, what is the right word? Artistic side of the Rolling Stones, experiencing the mathematicians that are Rush and the mind-blowing compositions that they bringing, the intriguing shock value and surprise lyrics and funky rock of Led Zeppelin. Working my way through these bands that I knew of but have never really explored, not really actively listened to. It wasn't my generation, it wasn't my culture, it wasn't my environment. I'm now experiencing. And with the Eagles, I've got to say, I love, first of all, what amazing musicians, what talented, amazing, skilled musicians. But I love seeing all these different sides of these various legendary bands and how you really can't box them in with one another. Here you have these guys who look really laid back, wearing their plaid shirt. If you see them walking down the street, you wouldn't necessarily assume, or I wouldn't, that these guys know how to freaking play an electric guitar for days. You know, like there's something so soulful, bluesy, but touches of rock that make this so entertaining just from a listening experience. And yet these guys look so down to earth. They're not out here flashy, a bunch of makeup and glitz and glam. Very down to earth. Amazing storytelling. And I have to say, listening to it now, unless I'm missing something, I don't hear anything evil or demonic. I hear, yes, a play on spirits and something being haunted, perhaps, especially those poignant lyrics in the end as that song builds to its crescendo. The climax of the lyrics to me was that phrase, "You can check out anytime, but you can never leave. You're trapped." And of course, the imagery makes me feel as if some type of haunted motel. And I understand why, in religious circles, the mind might immediately go to some type of demon situation. You're trapped, you can't get out. From me, I'm hearing a double entendre, a play on something that could be spooky, right? These voices, these sounds, the mirrors. And we're talking about something, a place that you can check out of. Lingo on the idea of a hotel when you check out, when you're getting ready to go, but you can never leave. You're trapped. Is that meant physically, or is that meant as in this will stay with you? You're stuck in this. And so there's a bunch of lingo that sure could make us wonder, what is this really about? Are there spiritual elements? What's the message here? But I think if I look through that and read between the lines, I'm also hearing a song that very well may be about temptations, about substances and drugs, perhaps. Being in a place where you feel like everybody is singing along, saying, "Welcome to the hotel, what a lovely face." And then things go sour. It went from beautiful and intriguing to asking for that wine and now being told we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. 1969 being a huge year in human history, from Apollo 11 landing to the Vietnamese War, I think, reaching its bloody peak. Many different things happening in sports and around the world that were poignant in 1969. What exactly are we talking about? Which spirit? And I see a song here where it could very well be about having a really bad trip, literally, but also, so to speak. This play on traveling through life, perhaps being a wanderer on this earth, coming across this place as you grow weary and finding yourself partaking in something that ends up, at first it looks great, and it ends up trapping you. Is this a conversation about addiction, about substances? I don't know. I want to look up a couple of things, though. It seems that Hotel California by the Eagles was deemed evil in some Christian circles due to the 1970s and 80s wild, sensational urban legends. Fervent rumors alleged the song was connected to the occult Satanism and addiction. The Church of Satan rumors were about the most widespread belief was held that the hotel in the song referred to a San Francisco building purchased by Anton LaVey and converted into the Church of Satan. I wonder if that's where the idea came from. Oh yeah, hidden imagery was another theory. Critics claimed if you looked closely at the Eagles album artwork, you could see LaVey standing in the background. Aleister Crowley connection, that was another theory, claimed the song was about the infamous occultist Aleister Crowley's mansion in Scotland, where supernatural rituals supposedly took place. And then some felt, felt some kind of way about it because of a seeming of drug and anti-Christian lyrics. For example, the line where it says we haven't had the Spirit here since 1969 were interpreted as a rejection of the Holy Spirit, while other lyrics were viewed as veiled references to hard drugs and hedonism. I could see references to drugs here. I didn't take that we haven't had that Spirit here as a rejection of the Holy Spirit. To me, that's a little bit far-fetched, but I don't know enough of the band or what they stand for or believe in to speak about that. The reality behind the song. In contrast to the religious rumors, band members like John Henley have explicitly stated the track has no occult ties. Instead, the song is a metaphorical allegory about the dark underbelly of the American dream. Is that right? Is that true? Let me know in the comments below, which would make sense because we're talking about driving through the desert. The Hotel California, that term in and of itself is like what is the word? When a word summarizes an idea, a philosophy, a mindset. And the words Hotel California, that is true. They really summarize the American dream. I think many people look at America and they might think of California, right? Sunsets and the beach and freedom. And, now you picture yourself driving through the desert in a Cadillac. Down Route 66, right? What's more American than that? And so I could see that definitely having nods to the American dream. You're driving down, your eyes are getting weary, you're looking for some place to rest. And everybody is saying, hey, there's no place like Hotel California. Welcome, what a lovely place. And I think a lot of times, especially back then, that's how America was presented, right? Oh, America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. Welcome, this is a lovely place, such a lovely face. Happy to have you, welcome. And now you enter and you are starting to realize that it's quite tricky here, that not everything is as it seems. We haven't had that Spirit here since 1969. What Spirit? Maybe a criticism also of the blood on America's hands. Whereas America is looked at as this land of the free. Come on, everybody. This is America. This is where you can have your dreams fulfilled. In 1969, from what I've read, the Vietnamese War being at the pinnacle, the bloodiest of all, it reached its most bloodiest moments, from what I understood. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. And I think those facts, the things that are happening in the world at the time, being in stark contrast to this dream that is being painted. You have a country that is telling people, hey, come here to fulfill your dream. And yet this country also has a lot of blood on their hands, is committing heinous crimes around the world. So perhaps that's what they're saying about this spirit. This spirit of liberty, love, and the pursuit of happiness hasn't been here since we started doing this stuff in 1969, perhaps. Also, then I think a conversation about you can never leave. You can check out, but you can never leave. Maybe by also saying that effect that America will have on you will stay forever, even if you try to leave. Or also you can't ever leave because you get stuck in a system where you now have to work 3 jobs trying to make ends meet, where you came to fulfill some type of dream and now you're stuck in a rut, in an economy that's struggling like many others are, and in a system that ultimately benefits the rich, not the poor. Interesting. Instead, the song is a metaphorical allegory about the dark underbelly of the American dream, the dangers of unchecked materialism, and the destructive excess of the Southern California music industry. Let's talk about the lyrics. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my ear, right? The warm smell of colitas. This is such a beautiful picture. Like the Eagles, I'm noticing, and I saw this with Bob Seger as well and Co. are amazing storytellers. There she stood in the doorway. I heard the mission bell. I was thinking to the mission bell. That nod maybe to all these, to these, the pilgrims and these various religious groups and people that came over, starting their own missions, starting their own denominations, trying to make a new life in America. I'm picturing Little House on the Prairie style missions bell. And I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven or this could be hell. Then she lit up a candle and she showed me the way. There were voices down the corridor. I thought I heard them say. And we're going to the chorus. Her mind is Tiffany twisted. She got the Mercedes Benz. Okay, yeah, that would make sense. Materialism, riches, wealth. She got a lot of pretty boys that she calls friends. Okay, where we're talking about things that are not what they seem. You have this personified America here, this woman who has all this stuff and all these pretty boys, right? California, the American dream, that she calls friends, not that are her friends, that she calls friends. It's this facade, it's this image of connection that is actually not there. And I think that is sometimes a criticism that other people from around the world have had towards America, where, and I can testify to this personally because I'm actually from Germany. I'm Cuban and German. My dad's Cuban American. My mom's German, but I was born and raised in Germany all my life. And I came here in 2011. And I think that oftentimes for people from other cultures, America is looked at as, yes, a place of dreams and friendliness, but often also of fakeness, of superficialness. So where you might hear someone say, how are you? But you can't quite take it serious. And for Germans, for example, they're much more direct and you don't ask people how you're doing. But then you get to know them and they can be incredibly wonderful, sweet, loyal, true people. It's just not that initial, oh my God. And America, I think, often has had that stereotype placed on itself, but also understandably so, that it's this place of, yeah, we call everybody a friend. How they danced in the courtyard, sweet summer sweat. Some danced to remember, some to forget. I called the captain, please bring me my wine. He said, we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. And I do think that while I was listening, my mind didn't think about materialism and the American dream. So I think this is brilliant to have a song that is so intricately written that it could be interpreted as many things. And quite frankly, even though a lot of these rumors were a little crazy and far-fetched about it being satanic or evil, I think that the fact that you can have a song that causes such polarization is brilliant because that's where the money is. That's how the system works. You get a lot of views. You get a lot of people to argue, talk, fight about your stuff. You're going to get the views. You're going to get the money. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. Oh, before that, mirrors on the ceiling, the pink champagne on ice. She said, we're all just prisoners here of our own device. And in the master's chambers, they gathered for the feast. They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast. So interesting. That beast being what? Greed, power, a system that's, set up to benefit the rich and exploit the poor. The American dream that is actually not always just sunshine and rainbows. The beast. And of course, I could see why religious groups would then take this as something. We're talking about the spirit and the beast. And it sounds very ghostly or evil. But I now have learned that this was definitely not, that this is not a satanic song or evil, but it's actually about questioning a system and looking at both sides of a thing. And I think there's actually wisdom in that. Looking at something and saying, okay, this could be about this or that. Even if this song was about drug use, I think that it would be still a very interesting song because it would open up the door to asking, what are these substances actually doing to us? Are these things that make us feel wonderful? These things that pull us in almost cult-like into a system we can't escape from, substances, certain religions, cults, groups, mindsets, whatever that may be. Now a conversation more than ever with the level of polarization and tribal mindsets we find on the internet. People are quick to hurtle together and not look at the world with an open mind. I think having a song that you can interpret in different ways that may or may not shed light on the dark sides of drug use, that shed light on the dark sides and the downsides of the American dream, that question the music industry or corruption or materialism. I think that's brilliant. And you have a song here that's such vivid storytelling that you can literally picture. I'm picturing this place. And I remember doing that for years, picturing this hotel, hearing it before. You picture all of this. And that's what shows just how brilliant this storytelling is, this songwriting is, because you're imagining it with them, like reading a good book. And yet you can interpret the lyrics in different ways. And they may also very well mean different things to different people. What a brilliant song. What an amazing band. Oh my goodness, I have been living under a rock. Well, it's changing with you. Make sure to subscribe. What else by the Eagles should I listen to? What else do you feel really showcases what they're about? Why do you love them? I will see you guys on the next ride. Ayo!